Guys, I'm Colin Mara, and I'm going to be reading Did I Ever Tell You How Lucky You Are by Dr. Seuss. When I was quite young and quite small for my size, I met an old man in the desert of dries, and he sang me a song I will never forget. At least, well, I haven't forgotten it yet. He sat in a terribly prickly place, but he sang with a sunny, sweet smile on his face. When you think things are bad, when you feel sour and blue, when you start to get mad, you should do what I do. Just tell yourself, Ducky, you're really quite lucky. Some people are much more, ever so much more, much more unlucky than you. Well, be glad you don't work at the bungalow bridge that they're building across Boober Bay or Bum Ridge. It's a troublesome world. All the people here who are in it are troubled with troubles almost every minute. You ought to be thankful a whole heaping lot for the places and the people you're lucky you're not. Just suppose, for example, you lived in Gazette and got caught up in traffic on Zate Highway 8. Or suppose, just for instance, you lived in Gazette with your bedroom up here and your bathroom up there. Just suppose you were in poor Herbie Hart, who has taken his thumb apart. He will never get it together, I'm sure. He never will know if the kick or the gore fits into the scrux, or the snucks, or the snore. Yes, Dougie, you're lucky. You're not Herbie Hart, who has taken this thumb apart. Think they work you too hard? Think of the poor Ali Sard. He has to mow grass in his uncle's backyard, and it's quick growing grass, and grows as he mows. The faster he mows it, the faster he grows it, and all that stingy old uncle will pay for his shoving that mower around in that hay is the pitifulest pay of 2 duklas a day, and an Ali can't live on such pitifulous pay. So he has to paint flagpoles on Sunday and grooves. How lucky you are, you don't have to live in his shoes. And poor Mr. Bix, every morning at 6, poor Mr. Bix has to borfin his fix. Doesn't seem fair, it just doesn't seem right, but his borfin just seems to go to schlump every night. It schlumps in a heap, sadly needing repair. Bix figures it's due to the local night air, and it takes him all day to unschlump it, and then the night air comes back and schlumps it once again. So don't you feel blue. Don't get down on the dumps. You're lucky you don't have to borfin that schlumps. And while we were at it, consider the schlotes, the crumple-horned, web-footed, green-bearded schlotes, whose tails entailed with unsolvable knots. If he isn't muchly more worse off than you, I'll eat my umbrella. That's just what I'll do. And you're lucky indeed you don't ride on a camel. To ride on a camel, you sit on a whammel. A whammel, you know, is a sort of saddle held on by a button that's known as a fatal. And boy, if your old whammel faddle gets loose, I'm telling you, Ducky, you're gone like a goose. And poor Mr. Potter, T-crosser-eyed daughter, he has to cross T's and he has to dot I's in an I and T factory out in Van Nuys. Oh, the jobs people work at out west near Hodge. There's a hotcher, bee watcher. His job is to watch. Is to keep both his eyes on Lazy Tom Bee. A bee that is watched will work harder, you see. Well, he watched and he watched, but in the spite of his watch, that bee didn't work any harder, not much. So then somebody said, our old bee watching man just isn't bee watching as hard as he can. He thought he'd watched by another hotch-hotcher. The thing that we need is a bee watcher. Well, the bee watcher watched the bee watcher. He didn't watch well, so another hotch-hotcher had to come in as a watcher. And today, all the hotchers who live in Hotch-Hotch are watching on watching at the watchers. Who's watching that bee? You're not a Hodge watcher. You're lucky, you see. And how fortunate you're not Professor DeBreeze, who has spent his past 32 years, if you please, trying to teach Irish ducks how to read Javanese. Think of the poor puffing Pugelhorn players who have to parade down the Pugelhorn stairs every morning to wake up the Prince of Pugeln. It's awful how often their pugels get broken. And oh, just suppose you were poor Harry Hatto. Try as he will, he can't make any shadow. He thinks that perhaps something is wrong with his giz, and I think that, by golly, there probably is. And the brothers Bazoo, the poor brothers Bazoo, suppose your hair grew like theirs happened to do. You think you're unlucky? I'm telling you, ducky, some people are muchly, oh, ever so muchly more unlucky than you. And suppose that you live in a forest in France where the average young person just hasn't a chance to escape from the perilous pants-eating plants. But your pants are safe. You're a fortunate guy, and you ought to be shouting, how lucky am I? Speaking of plants, you should be greatly gladish you're not a farmer Falkenberg's 17 radish. And you're so lucky you're not Gucky Grown, who lives by himself 90 miles out of town in the ruins of Ronk. Ronk is rather run down. And you're so lucky that you're not a left sock left behind by mistake in the caverns of Croc. Thank goodness for all the things that you're not. Thank goodness you're not something someone forgot and left all alone in some punkerish place, like a rusty tin coat hanger hanging in space. That's why I say, ducky, don't crumble, don't stew. Some critters are much, oh, ever such much, so much more unlucky than you. The end.